Last week, on October 25th, I said the charts are not supporting a Bitcoin entry yet. Then only hours later, price pumped. Have the 6 criteria I used changed? Have I FOMO'd in now? And was I wrong? Well, all the geniuses who have been bullish all the way from 69,000 down to the bottom of 17,567, erasing 3/4 of the value in Bitcoin and 90% of the value in most altcoins, are now celebrating how right they were all along. Well, color me unimpressed. Our process gave an exit at 49k, and if we buy back before 24,500, that doubles our Bitcoin, and more if you shorted. And even so, that's not the main point of my process. The main point was that we protected our capital in case it had gotten even worse. For many young folks, it may seem cool to go all in and gamble everything on red at the casino, which in the market is the equivalent to thinking that you can predict the future. But over time, I'm telling you, it's a lot cooler to not lose all your money on that dark day where you had a stroke of bad luck, and instead leverage the magic of compound returns over longer time periods. Anyway, let's get to the point. I had 6 criteria, where none of them had been met. So have they been met now? If you haven't seen the video, maybe watch that one first and then come back here. The 6 criteria were: I said there was no bottom chart construction in this area here. Number 2. The trend as proxied by Larson line was still down. Then I said that this support line has held, but it held and stopped, not held and bounced. Number 4, I said that retracement in the past often reached 85%, while it's only reached 75% so far. The recent chart construction, which is this double top here, hasn't reached its target. Then I said we had one fundamental indicator, the GBTC discount, which is huge and been trending down. So it looked really bad. There was only one criteria, which was that the support had held, but even then it didn't bounce. So how have these changed? The biggest change is really that we are actually working on a chart bottom. Let's zoom in. This first resistance, which came from the reversal point in early October, has now broken through. And not only has it broken through, it has retested and held. To me, the biggest confirmation will be if we take out this right shoulder top from mid-September at 22,400 to 22,800 something. But each of these 3 actually adds confidence as far as I've been able to read about the theory around this fulcrum bottom pattern. Trend direction then. The trend as proxied by Larson line is still down. But if price holds here another day or 2, it will flip from down to neutral for sure. The next one, what I wasn't happy with on October 25th, it held and stopped, it didn't hold and bounce. Now it has held and bounced. Number 4, retracement target. And this is where I talked about that the retracements in the past have often reached about 85%, while the peak retracement now from 69,000 down to 17,500 is only in quotation marks 75%. But as one person in the comments pointed out, that doesn't factor in dollar inflation, which is 10% this year alone. Now the difference between a 75% and an 85% drop isn't 10%. It's 10 percentage points. If you have $100, a 75% drop leaves you with $25, while an 85% drop leaves you with $15. And the drop from $25 to $15 is how much? 40% drop. Some say the real inflation is bigger than 10%, some even say 30%, but regardless, it's still not quite there. Still, that is a good point. The real drop is bigger than 75%. For sure, we are closer to an 80% drop in real value. So maybe we should give this one at least a neutral. The next one, this double top target, still hasn't reached. And the GBTC discount hasn't gotten any better. At least last Friday it was even worse. So that one is still not favorable. But then there is another criteria, number 7, the one one chart to rule them all, one chart to find them, one chart to bring them all and in darkness bind them. That is the DXY chart, the dollar chart. Last week that parabola was definitely intact here on October 25th, but then it actually broke through. And what it's doing now is very interesting. Right now it looks more like a retest than a break back above the trend line. So that criteria has actually changed now. I will conclude this, but let's look at the altcoin charts as well. Back to basics, ETH to BTC has trended the best on 3-day candles. And in terms of chart patterns, I'm actually going to redraw ETH BTC like this. I think what's crystallizing here is a range. Bottom of the range here, one fake out below, top of the range here with a resistance area rather than a line. And with that interpretation, we're now once again hitting up against the resistance area here. And we can even argue that we're getting a form of ascending triangle running up against this area. If this breaks through conclusively, that would be huge. Then Ethereum can reasonably run up here and challenge Bitcoin as the #1 crypto by market cap, which would happen here at around 0.16. Doesn't look that far in the chart. Let's see. XRP to BTC also trends well on the 3-day candles, and there the trend is actually up, even though the charge against the resistance area here got paused. Of course, a lot will depend on the outcome of the lawsuit between Ripple and the SEC. Solana to BTC remains down despite the recovery here the past couple of days. And this level at 0.00167 is really what has been the key support and now the key resistance level. So that's definitely the one to watch, see if it can break through. The BNB to BTC trend, I've said a long time on this channel and in the weekly TA reports that it's one of the most bullish charts in all of crypto. If you remember, by the way, make sure you receive the emails every Friday with a TA report. If you're not a member yet, you can unfortunately not join at this point, but I will reopen the course in mid-November for a while until it fills up with how many new members I can handle, because I want to make sure I have time to answer questions and so on if someone needs more help. And it will be at a new price point as mentioned. So BNB to BTC has been gold on large online, on the daily, on 3-day candles, on 1-week candles for quite a while. So this move is really great to see here. Unfortunately for Cardano fans, the ADA to BTC chart has been the exact opposite for quite a while. ADA to BTC trend is down on both the 1-day candles, the 3-day candles and the 1-week candles, but is making a real attempt to climb over this key support resistance at 2k sats, which has been so important in this chart going all the way back to 2018. I'm personally not going to touch it while it looks like this, but let's see. So to sum up this video, as I've mentioned, I did already hold some Bitcoin and Ethereum exposure, but it has been small in relation to my total capital. Still, it helps to combat the FOMO. Now, I'm a lot closer to making a new entry, because these criteria really start flipping around just in a couple of days. Before pulling the trigger, however, I do want to see at least the main ones even clearer. I want to see this level break up, and I want to see the trend flip gold, or at least not be down, because I can't buy when it's blue under my own process. As you know, my objective isn't to catch the exact bottom. My objective is to try to ride the midsection of the move up without destroying my capital by riding the trend on the way down. Also, we still have one huge uncertainty. This DXY chart will depend heavily on what happens on this Fed meeting on Wednesday, November 2nd at 2 p.m. And since Bitcoin is mainly just following the inverse direction of the DXY, anything can happen to Bitcoin this week. So if entering here, you better have a stop loss, folks, or you're just back to gambling. Unless your uncle works at Fed and leaks you the information. Mine sadly doesn't. So I'll just have to react to what actually happens. If or when I do another entry, I will protect it hard in this macro environment for sure, because this is still a very difficult stretch of the market, unlike the 10 years before. This is Nasdaq, which flipped gold on the weekly here in 2009 and then held gold for 13 years straight, but is now actually blue here in 2022. This is the first time in Bitcoin's history that we are entering a real recession, and who knows what that will lead to in speculative assets like Bitcoin. I'm not gonna ride it down if there is still further downside in the cards before the next bull run, which could come much later, maybe in 2023 or even 2024. But that's just me. I'm not a financial advisor, and this isn't advice for you, because your situation could be different than mine. And remember, whatever you do, you always risk losing all the capital. And fan of the day is, of course, Nature's Symmetry, who wrote the excellent comment about the inflation versus the 85% target. We have so many great people here. Please subscribe. Thank you, tack. CTO Larsen out. Hej då!